of the biggest things with that is I heard a few things about Dave Max, probably a little bit before COVID, but I didn't really get any information until I think I met him finally at the Blue and Gold, probably 2018, 2019, not really sure. And we stayed in contact to the point where I actually flew up to Chicago to do a private lesson with him. So I kind of understand what the philosophy was about when people say, teaching with no count or something similar. So I did it. I had a great understanding of what he was teaching, even though at the time I was probably more just a person. But probably about 2017, about 4 years after learning to dance, or actually probably just doing movements at the time, I found that this was the time for me to start transitioning to understanding what dancing looked like. Because I always heard that, people from Chicago, they don't count. But you can watch them dance and you can see them having fun. So why not get exposed to that kind of thing? So being exposed to it, just the basics of understanding what this whole no count thing is, intrigued me so much where I got to the point where I was talking to Dave more often than normal than most people would talk to their instructor. And to the point I'm like, hey, more people need to know about this. I know that you used to teach it. I think it's a good opportunity to kind of push out. So he started the instructor program in 2021. So at that point in time, when I was like, hey, I'll be one of the first students to do it, and signed up. And after I started class, I dropped everything that was 8 count. Everything. I stopped teaching my classes. I stopped talking about 8 count. And I probably spent the first 2 or 3 months learning how to teach without numbers, and found that it was much easier to teach the concepts of what I needed them to do without trying to figure out what number you needed to be on. Because there's a sort of freedom that you have to just be on beat versus having to put a foot in a certain spot. In so much, the freedom comes to say, as long as I stay on beat, it allows me to stay in tune with my partner, but I don't have to shadow or mirror her all the time. And not having to make my dance look like her dance is one of the biggest things on what makes me stay here, regardless of what's going on, because I know I will always have freedom to kind of do what I want, and I'm not tied to a box. As my everyday life, I'm not tied to a box, nor shall I be tied to a box and dance. So being free to express myself and be who I am is one of the biggest things that a person can learn doing this type of learning from the music. All right, because the more I listen to music, I start to pick up on different accents in a song. I may hear the snare, I may hear the bass, I may hear a trumpet, I may hear a piano, I may hear a cymbal or something that's going on in that song. And if I can perform what that song is doing, why not do that? It's kind of like being at church and watching praise dancing or watching a mime perform. You can see through their actions what that song is saying to them. And through their performance, I can see the song itself. That is something that most people will never understand because they're never taught to music. They're only taught to a number. And then after they've been held hostage in these type of classes for 4 or 5 years, then people will start telling, oh, you need to listen to the music. Yeah, but you've been telling me to count for the last 3 or 4 years. It doesn't stop overnight. But if I start with listening to music, and I'm consistent just listening to music, I will always be in tune with the song. And that doesn't mean that you're not going to mess up. Just get back on beat. That's how simple it is. Hey, I'm off beat. Learn techniques to get back on beat. Doesn't matter what foot you start with, because there's, once you learn to dance on the left foot lead and the right foot lead, you can switch whenever you want to. There's different techniques on how to switch the dance. So it'll appear that you're off, but you're really not off, because a left turn is a left turn regardless of what foot you're on. I can be on left foot lead. Left turn is always going to be the left. I can be on right foot lead. Left turn is always going to be left. It's not going to change.